Hello classmates, welcome back to yet another lesson. So today we're going to be looking at income tax, or rather taxation. So I have a previous paper here with me, and also I have the steps that we use to calculate tax. So we are going to take it step by step as we are going with the question until we get to the final answer. So let's get to the question. The scenario says Joy is a 52-year-old nurse who earns a salary of 286,500 rands per annum. She contributes 7% of her annual salary to a pension fund. She only has two daughters listed as dependents on her medical aid. She is concerned that the 4,000 rands monthly income tax deduction is too much. Use annexure A below to verify if her concern is warranted. So the tables that we have right there is that we have the tax rates table for the year 2020-2021, and then we also have the tax rebates table, as well as the tax threshold table and the monthly medical tax credits table. And all of the information over there is everything that we are going to use in order to find the answer to our question. So the question here is to see if the 4,000 that Joy pays for tax is too much or it's correct. So the information that we have right now and the information that we're going to use is that Joy is 52 years old and she earns an annual salary of 286,500 rands, and she contributes 7% of her annual salary towards her pension fund every year, and she also has two daughters which she pays medical aid for. So we are going to take it step by step until we get to the last step and until we find the final answer. So we are going to start with the first step, which is step 1, and it says that determine the annual salary. And to do that, they say that we need to multiply the monthly income by 12, which is by 12 months. So we are not going to do this step because it has already been done for us. Because if you go back to the scenario and look, you will notice that we have been given the annual salary, which is what step 1 tells us to determine, and it has already been given to us. So that means that we are going to take it from step number 2. So if you were given the monthly salary, then you were going to do step number 1. You were going to take your monthly salary and multiply it by 12 months in order to get the annual salary. But because in this case we have been given the annual salary, that means that we are going to start with step number 2. So step number 2 says that determine the tax deductible income. So when they talk about tax deductible income, they are talking about things like pension fund, donations, and UIF. So in this case, if you look, we have been told about the annual pension fund. We've been told about the pension fund. So the scenario says that she contributes 7% of her annual salary towards her pension fund every year. So in order to calculate the amount of money that she contributes towards pension fund, we are going to take the amount of money that she earns in a year. So we're going to take her annual salary, which is 286,500, and we are going to look for 7% of this amount, because remember they have told us that she contributes 7% of her annual salary towards pension fund. So we're going to look for 7% of her annual salary. So we're going to say we're going to click it on the calculator and say 286,500 multiplied by 7/100. 7/100, and that gives us 20,055 rands. So this is the amount of money that she contributes towards her pension fund every single year. Every year she pays 20,055 rands for her pension fund. So this means that we are done with step number 2, and then we're going to go to step number 3. So step number 3 says that subtract the tax deductible items. They're talking about pension fund, donation, and then we are calculating what actually in step number 3 we are calculating the taxable income. So what we need to do now is that we have to take the annual salary. They have given you the formula over there to calculate the taxable income. You take the annual salary and subtract the deductible income, the tax deductible income, which you calculated on step number 2. Remember, this is step 2. And then now we are on step number 3. So step number 3, we calculate taxable income. We do what? We take the annual salary, which is 286,500, and then we subtract the amount that she contributes towards pension fund, which is 20,055 rands. So we're going to click this on the calculator and say 286,500 minus 20,055, and it leaves us with a total of 266,445 rands. So this is our taxpayer's taxable income. Out of her income, which is 286,500, they are only going to tax her looking at 266,445. This is her taxable income. So this means that we are done with step number 3, and then we go to step number 4. So step number 4 says that check if the person qualifies to pay tax by using the tax threshold table. Those earning less than the threshold do not have to pay tax. So we have our taxable income here, and then we're going to go to our tax threshold table and see if our taxpayer qualifies to pay tax or not. So we're going to look at the year 2020-2021, and remember that we've been told that our taxpayer is 52 years, so that means that he is less than 65 years old. And when we look at the tax threshold table, it tells us that a person who is less than 65 years old and earns an income of more than 83,100 is supposed to pay tax. And when you look at our taxable income, it is way above 83,100. So that means that our taxpayer does have to pay tax. That means that we are done with step number 4. We were just checking if our taxpayer should pay tax or not, and she is supposed to pay tax. So that leaves us to step number 5. So step number 5 says identify the correct tax bracket and write it down. Substitute the taxable income in the formula, and then use BODMAS to find the tax for the year. So we're going to do what? We're going to identify the correct tax bracket looking at our taxable income. So when you look at the tax table over there, our taxable income, which is 266,445 rands, falls on the second bracket, on the second tax bracket, which is between 205,901 and 321,600. So that means that our tax bracket is this is step number 4. Step number 5. Remember, we're done with step number 4. So step number 5, we do what? We identify the tax bracket. So our taxpayer falls under tax bracket number 2. Tax bracket number 2. So now that we have identified the tax bracket for our taxpayer, that means that we are going to use the information or the formula that has been given to us on the right hand side of our tax table on the same line with our tax bracket, which is tax bracket number 2. So the information or the formula given to us over there says that 37,062 plus 26% of taxable income above 205,900. So this is how you're going to do it in order for you to be able to use the formula to find the answer. You're going to say 26%, and then instead of you're going to write multiplication, and then you're going to put your taxable income inside brackets, taxable income inside your brackets, and say subtract. Above means subtract, and then we're subtracting by 205,900. So now we have put our formula in a way that we'll be able to substitute and then use it to find the answer. So now what's left for us to do is just to substitute our formula. So we're going to take it as it is and say 37,062 plus 26%, which is 26 over 100, multiply by, and then taxable income. We're going to put our taxable income here. Remember, we calculated our taxable income on step number 3, so we're going to put 266,445 rands here. Remember, this is our taxable income, and then we're going to subtract it by 205,900. Okay, so now we can start with the calculations because we have substituted our formula. We can do what now? We can calculate. And then remember, on our steps of calculating tax, we have been told that we should use the BODMAS to find the tax for the year. So that means that we're going to start with the brackets because that's what BODMAS says. It says brackets first. So we're just going to rewrite the others as they are. 36,062 plus 26 over 100 multiply, and then we're going to calculate the brackets. We're going to say 266,445 minus 205,900, and that leaves us with a total of 60,545 rands. Okay, so we're taking it from here all the way to the back, so we're still going to rewrite 37,062 as it is and say plus, and then now we're going to look for 26% of 60,545. So we're going to say 26 over 100 multiplied by 60,545. That is what we're going to click on the calculator. Multiply by 26 over 100. Okay, let me put a bracket here, and that gives us a total of 15,741 rands 70 cents, and then we are going to add these two all together. So we're going to say 15,741 rands 70 cents plus 37,062, and that gives us a total of 52,803 rands 70 cents. So now this means that we are done with step number 5, and then we are going all the way to step number 6, and it says calculate and subtract the rebates. Remember to check the age of the individual to see which rebate they qualify for. So when it comes to tax rebates, we use our taxpayer's age in order to determine the rebates that they are qualifying for. So in this case, our taxpayer is 52 years old, and if you check on our on our rebates table over there, you will notice that people under 65 years old fall under the primary rebate, which is equal to 14,958 rands. Remember that we are looking at the year 2020-2021 tax year, right? So that means that we're going to do what? Step number 6 says that we should calculate and subtract the rebates. Okay, so that means that we're going to take the previous answer that we had, which was 52,803 rand 70 cents. So we're going to take this one and subtract the primary rebate. Okay, so now we're going to substitute. We're going to say 52,803.70 subtract the amount for primary rebate. Primary rebate is 14,958 rands. Okay, so we're going to click this on the calculator and say 52,803.70 subtract 14,958. So that gives us an amount of 37,845 rands 70 cents. Okay, so this is the amount that we're left with after subtracting the rebates, and that means that we are done with step number 6. Okay, so now we're going to step number 7. So step number 7 says calculate and subtract the medical tax credits. remember to check the number of dependents, multiply the value by 12 to get the annual amount. Okay, so now we are calculating the medical tax credits that our taxpayer will have. Okay, so remember we have been told that the taxpayer has 2 daughters which she contributes towards medical aid for. Okay, so this means that she is paying medical aid for 3 people, which is herself and her 2 daughters. Okay, so that means that we have the taxpayer and 2 dependents. So we're going to use the the medical aid tax table over there to calculate our medical credits. So we're going to start with, if you look there, we have the main member, we have the first dependent, and we have an amount for each additional dependent. And remember, we have 3 people. So that means that okay, let me indicate that we're calculating the medical aid credits here. Medical aid credits. Okay, so we are going to start and take 319 rands, which is the amount that is contributed by the main member, by the taxpayer. Okay, and then we're also going to take the next 319 rands, which is the amount that she's going to pay for the first dependent, which is the first daughter, and then we're left with the last daughter, because remember it's the taxpayer then 2 daughters, so we're left with the amount for the last daughter. So the last daughter will qualify as an additional member, and we have been told over there that an additional member should contribute an amount of 215 rands. So that means that we are also going to add it right here and say plus 215. We have 3 amounts over here. It's 319 rands for the main member, which is Joy, the taxpayer. We have 319 again for the first daughter, and 215 rands for the second daughter, which is the third dependent. So we're going to click this on the calculator and say 319 plus 319 plus 215. That gives us a total of 853 rands. So this is the amount of money that she pays towards medical aid per month, because if you look at the table over there, it has been indicated that those prices are monthly prices. Okay, and also even on the steps of calculating tax, they have told you that you should multiply the value by 12 months in order to get the annual amount. So we're going to take this one and multiply it by 12 months. So it's 853 multiplied by 12, and that means that in a year she pays 10,236 rands for medical aid for 3 people, which is herself and her 2 daughters. So this is the amount that she pays for medical aid. And remember that step number 7 was saying that you should calculate and subtract the medical tax credits. So this means that we're going to say the amount that we were left with after deducting our rebates and subtract the amount that she contributes for medical aid. So we're going to say 37,845 rands 70 cents, and subtract 10,236, which is the amount of money that she pays for medical aid. So it's 37,845 rands 70 cents minus the answer. That leaves us with a total of 27,609 rands 70 cents. So this is our taxpayer's annual tax. This is the amount of tax that she is going to pay in a year, and this means that we are done with step number 7, and we're now going to the last step, which is step number 8. So step number 8 says that to determine the monthly tax, divide the answer by 12. So remember I told you that this is the annual tax. So because in this question we are trying to see how much this person has to pay monthly, we are trying to determine the monthly tax. This means that we have to take our annual tax and divide it by 12 months in order to know how much exactly she is going to have to pay in a month. So we're going to say 27,609.70 and divide it by 12 months, and that gives us a total of 2,300 rands and 81 cents. So this is the amount of money that she is supposed to contribute towards her tax each and every single month. And if we look at the question was telling us that she says that 4,000 that she is paying is a lot, and it is indeed a lot. So we are also going to write a conclusion and say that her statement is correct, or it is valid. She is telling the truth when she says that the amount that she is paying, which is 4,000, is too much. She is overpaying her tax. She is supposed to pay 2,381 cents. So this is how we work with taxation. All you need to do is just to take it step by step, or up until you get to the final answer. So what I would advise you to do now is to memorize these steps and know them by heart. If you know these steps, you can never go wrong when it comes to taxation or to income tax. So this is how we work with it. I hope that this lesson was very fruitful and useful and beneficial to you guys. May goodness and grace lead you to the great heights of success.